In the previous video, we did some examples on how margins and thinking at the margin can be important in health economics. I'll do just another one, which is one where you have two treatments and you basically have some money to allocate to research in those two treatments. First, you have option A, where you can spend 100 millions to get one quali locally. I don't know if you remember qualis. They are quality adjusted life years. If you don't, go back to our first video and you can check that. Now, the second one is treatment B, where your first investment of 100 million only gives you 0.5 qualis. So clearly the first investment is better in A, but it can get trickier because I'm not giving you 100 million to allocate. I'm giving you 500 million. So how would you allocate these 500 millions? And since you are going to say it depends, what do you need to know to allocate these 500 million?
Well, yeah, first of all, it depends, yeah. Second, I will want to know how much extra benefit I'm getting at each stage. So I'm allocating the first 100 million, for example, on A, and I'm getting one quali. Now, if I want to allocate another 100 million to A, how many extra qualis I'm getting, and the same for B.
So yeah, that's more or less it. But let's first play naive, and let's say that every 100 million gives me one quali in A and only 0.5 in B. Then I'll put everything in A, and I will get 5 quali in A. Okay. Whether if I'm putting everything in B, for instance, I'm getting 2.5, so it's not worth it. Every 100 million is better in A. Now, what Valerio told is that, it really depends on this. Is it going to be linear or not? Because if not, then the answer may get a little bit trickier. So, Valerio, looking at this, what would you do? In this case, you can very readily see that I made it like decreasing marginal returns. So first 100 million, for instance, in A, you get one quali, but the second 100 million that you invest, you only get 0.6, okay, in here. And the third, 0.3 additional qualis, and it is decreasing until the last one. And in B, it is also decreasing, but you can see very rapidly as well that it is decreasing, but at a slower rate. Okay, so it is 0.5. This is smaller, 0.45, but only a slight drop in here. So drops of 0.05, which are very low. So how do we solve this?
So this can look quite tricky, and I think a good thing to do is just to resolve it in stages, and I think that's what you're going to do, Luis, I guess. But the first stage is looking at the first 100 million, comparing how much qualis we get from each alternative, which is in this case 1 quali versus 0.5 qualis. And I guess the easy thing to do is allocating money to A. And then second stage, allocate the second 100 million. And again, here we need to compare the qualis we get. So for A, we will get an extra 0.6 qualis. For B, we will get an extra 0.5 qualis, right? So again, it's better to invest in A again.
So now the next one, if you put in A again, you get only 0.3, which now is lower than the first investment in B, which is 0.5. So you are going to B. And yeah,
we are comparing 0.3 qualis from A versus 0.45 qualis from B. Clearly, we will go with B. And then again, at the next stage, we are comparing 0.3 qualis from A versus 0.4 qualis from B. And again, we will decide to invest our money in B.
So it's done. It's already 500 million invested. And you can see that the answer is then 200 million in A, 300 million in B, generating a total of 1.6 qualis from A and 1.35 qualis from B, which is 2.95 qualis. Remember, if you go, for instance, in here, only in A, you would get only, for instance, 2.1. So it really depends on, let me be a little bit more technical, on the distribution of these returns, or in this case, on the function of the marginal returns. And by that, what I mean is that it really depends whether these incremental investments are constant in terms of the benefits they provide, or if they are decreasing, or if they are increasing, which is also an option. But this one would be less interesting, because if they are increasing, you can see these two examples. Yeah, you will never, if they are increasing, you will always choose only one of them. In this case, it would be B with 6.5, because at any point I'm gaining from B, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I will never want to put a little bit of investment in A, because I'm stopping, let's say, the growing of B. Now, just to give you very fast examples, because this is very theoretical in a sense. What is this of the returns being increasing or decreasing, or what is this? Well, I think the decreasing is very easy to explain, because it's what I told you. Imagine that you are doing some research in any disease, let's say cancer, and imagine you already did a lot of research, and you did a lot of improvements, and you are now saving most of the lives of a given type of cancer, right? Then maybe doing the putting money in order to save more lives, maybe it's now harder to save more lives, because you are already saving a lot, you know, because if you are already saving most of the persons, there are less to save. So if you put a lot of money to save those persons, you have a smaller pool, right? But you also may have increasing, because imagine that you do a little bit of research, and in the beginning it is very new and you need a learning curve. You are learning the new techniques, the new technology, and so on. And imagine that as you put more and more money, you go deeper into the learning curve. You start understanding better what you're doing. You start understanding better the technology, and you start getting more benefits from your research. So this is also theoretically very credible. So now, just to finish, there are other things to consider, and I wanted to put this slide because so far we were talking only about efficiency, and some people think economists are just all about mathematics, but that's not the case. Those are the things that are easier to model and put on a blackboard, but there are other things that are much harder to put on the blackboard, but they are as important or even much more important than the ones that you can model. And in this case, I'm going to give the examples of equity and externalities, because sometimes you may not care about the overall, the absolute effect of a new treatment. You may be more interested in fairness, in justice, some philosophy, some ideology, and you may want, for instance, to treat more the people that are more deprived and that are already in a worse situation, even though it may not be as efficient. And also you may want to think about externalities, because externalities are what we call things that are not directly in the market, but are indirectly related to the market. So let's say that treating a specific type of people is not as efficient as treating another, but let's say that it has more impacts on other markets, such as the labor market. Treating a specific type of people will make them work more, go to work, less days of sickness, and then it is going to increase more the market gains in the labor market. Then you could consider also going for the ones with bigger externalities.
No, these are really good points here. Equity and externalities, they do really matter, and you know, you can think of externalities also in terms of like people providing care to people with a certain condition or certain disability. So how much an intervention can impact on the caregivers, and as Luís was saying, like, you know, whether people need to give up jobs, you know, they might have more sick days and so on and so on and so on. So these are things we really need to consider in our economic analysis, and they're important to consider. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it, and we'll see each other in the next video.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.